Steve Jobs once said, "Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. The only way to do great work is to love what you do." Today I am here to celebrate and talk about a specific group of people who love what they do and have the ultimate satisfaction of doing so every day. I'm talking about nice nurses, new nurses, and all needed nurses. While many careers can be rewarding, the feeling of accomplishment associated with nursing is amplified when saving lives and facing life-threatening decisions on a daily basis. Nurses tend to be the backbone of the medical field today. They are the light at the end of the tunnel in some of our darkest times, and are the sole reason behind some of our miracle times. This is because of their endless devotion and strong qualities that they possess in the times that we need them most. The first historical event involving nurses that I'm going to be talking about is the beginning of the AIDS epidemic. No one knew how it was spreading initially until it was a nurse who ruled out that it was spread through sexual intercourse. It was that nurse who began her research right away and got people on board with her immediately. Due to the stigma at the time, professionals refused to work with people just because of what was happening. It wasn't until a nurse defined convention and treated them with an open mind and hope. It was a nurse who was the patient's voice when they couldn't have one. It was a nurse who was at that bedside of that dying patient when their family was absent, because it is our duty as a nurse to be their family and greet them with open arms at their bedside. As a nurse, it is not only our duty to care for the ill, but to make sure that they know that no battle is fought alone, and in this case, they were never alone. After the AIDS epidemic, another tragedy struck our world. In 2014, the Ebola outbreak was rising at epidemic rates in various African countries. Many healthcare professionals thought it was too contagious to treat until a nurse made use of the materials that she had around her. In this case, it was a garbage bag and some duct tape. She used that as protection, as like PPE wear, to protect herself and make sure the others around her were protected as well. Nurses have to think quick and critically. In this case, that's what that nurse did. She didn't sit there like a bump on a log and watch innocent people with rivers of tears flowing down their cheeks die a slow and painful death. She did what she had to do to survive and to make sure others around her did too. The last and most current event is known as the coronavirus. What we hear on the daily news is more political stuff and the number of infected and the number of deceased. Instead, they should be drawing their focus to the stories of the nurses. Not many of us know that many nurses call in sick almost every day. That's because 80% of patients that are admitted into the hospital have the coronavirus. As another person walks into that door infected, it is another opportunity for a healthcare worker to get sick. And being after their shifts, they have to go to their families and risk them getting sick as well. So it is not only the people of the coronavirus, their lives that are on the line, but it's also our fellow nurses. Nurses work 12-hour shifts, and they're tired, they're scared, and they're just unprepared. They have cuts and bruises on their face due to wearing masks their whole entire shift. Not to mention, they're not the cleanest masks either. We have a shortage of supplies and also a shortage of nurses. This is a problem because one nurse is assigned to 30 patients currently, when the norm is only 6 to 8 patients. No matter how difficult the time may seem, nurses continue to combat this virus head-on. Many of us that are deemed to be essential workers, we have to be away from our family and we risk getting sick and bringing it home to other people. The other of us that are deemed non-essential get to sit home and relax, but you shouldn't forget about the people who are at the bedside of a dying patient. It was a nurse who was at the bedside. In conclusion, I'm sharing these historic stories to commemorate and celebrate all upcoming nurses, current nurses, and retired nurses who have served the individuals of our country with the love and compassion that they need. Without nurses, we wouldn't be where we are today. As nurses, we've faced pitfalls, progress, and promises, and we've given people hope in the darkest times. We as a nurse have to be as solid as the ground we stand on, and we have to love what we do and do it every day. Because every day comes with different trials and tribulations that need to be handled with care, and that's just what our nurses do. Nurses are like soldiers. They may not be fighting with guns, but they're fighting to keep the people of our country alive and well. And just remember to thank them for their service, and not every hero wears a cape. It wasn't until a nurse changed lives, and that changed everything. Thank you for your time and being a wonderful audience.